back in COVID days when I said that the way the government was handling the deployment of the COVID vaccine was going to cause a massive, massive uprise in anti-vaxxers dealing with like the long established vaccines. Well, now we've got measles running rampant in the US and Canada. And now in Ontario, we've had 6 infants born with congenital measles and at least 40 pregnant women having caught the measles because 38 out of the 40 were unvaccinated against the measles. That's like 98% unvaccination rate in a sample of 40 people. That is huge. And I know a lot of people, like I've heard this argument from older people. Oh, I had the measles as a kid and I was fine, blah, blah, blah. And there's the whole thing, oh, it's just the red measles, it's not German measles. Red measles is still incredibly dangerous. It has less of a mortality rate than German measles, but it's still a dangerous disease, especially if in an adult. It's not a freaking joke. And one infant has died. They were premature and they were born with measles. The chief medical officer has reported that 6 measles has been born with congenital measles since an outbreak began last fall, adding they were infected through the womb from mothers who were not vaccinated. This is why it is important when you're pregnant to make sure that your vaccines are up to date. And please listen to your doctor about the vaccines. I know, like, when you're pregnant, you're really careful about what you want to put in your body and all that. I know, I've been there. I have 2 kids. But vaccines are, first of all, proven, like the measles vaccine, the polio vaccine, like all these like long established vaccines are safe, and a doctor would not suggest something for you that's not safe as a pregnant person. Like, that's a doctor's job is to keep you healthy, not to make you worse. I know a lot of people are like, oh no, big pharma, they want to keep you sick. No, that's the majority of doctors are not out to make you sick. Like, there are doctors that have the kickbacks, blah, blah, blah. We're not talking about that. This is, I'm just covering all my bases because as somebody who was infected by the measles from an unvaccinated person and how I lost my sight, I have had all of the arguments with anti-vaxxers. So I'm just covering my bases in my comments. Dr. Kieran Moore says these infants recovered, but their infections could have been prevented by if their mothers had been vaccinated and protected from contracting measles. Yeah. Like, it's not like it's a new type of vaccine. Like, I wouldn't have gotten a COVID vaccine if I was pregnant because they didn't provide proper information and there was a lot of different side effects happening. And mRNA is different than the measles vaccine. So congenital measles can result in severe complications, including inflammation of the brain and death. My piano teacher was born with congenital measles, and she was born completely blind. Like, her eyes didn't open type of deal. So it's no joke. On Thursday, Moore announced an infant born prematurely and infected with measles died in southwestern Ontario. He says the infant also faced other serious medical complications unrelated to the virus because, well, it was a preemie, so that's to be expected. But I wanted to talk about this because it's near and dear to my heart because of how I lost my sight. And honestly, a measles outbreak could do far more damage than the COVID outbreak, because measles has more long-lasting effects, I would say. Like, yes, red measles has a lower mortality rate, but it also can provide other effects like, blindness, deafness, endocarditis, like heart inflammation. You don't want to fuck around with the measles. It's not just a common cold. And I really just wanted to cover this in a separate video. I was going to throw it into the pile for my test stream later, but no, I wanted to do a separate video about it because this is just, it's important. Please, get your standard vaccines, your MMR, your polio, your diphtheria, your rotavirus, all that stuff. Please, if you're a parent, make sure your kid gets the vaccines. And if you're worried about how many you're getting at a time, talk to your doctor about a vaccine schedule. That's perfectly valid. Because I know that vaccination protocols are different depending on where you are. Like in the States, I know that they like to kind of jam them full of vaccines all at once. So I know moms that had their kids' vaccinations kind of spaced out. So, that is a thing. But please, for the love of God, do not just let your kids run around unvaccinated, because it's not only for their safety, but we live in a society, right? We live close together. And there are certain things that as a society we have to do to keep everybody safe, like being vaccinated, like following the law. You know what I mean? It's just common sense. So please, for the love of God, make sure your vaccines are up to date. Make sure your kids' vaccines are up to date. And just stay healthy. Like, share, subscribe, buy me a coffee, and I'll see you in the next one.